Good morning, students. How are you all? You all are okay? I think you have studied the yesterday's portion about the double entry system. This is the fundamental thing that is useful for the doing of the exercises. That needs many problems. Okay. So, what is double entry system that we have studied yesterday? For each and every transaction, there will be two aspects. Okay, two aspect. One will be the debit aspect and the other will be the credit aspect. Okay, here there will be that if there is one debit, then that amount will be equal and corresponding credit will be there. So the total debit should be equal to the total credit. Understand? Now we will learn the advantages of double entry system. Principles we have studied. Now we will see the advantages. What are the advantages? It is one of the 7th question in Roman number 3. Okay, you have to learn this one. First one, accuracy. Accuracy, the amount mentioned in the double entry system will be accurate because we can check the accuracy of accounting, because each debit amount will be equal to the credit amount. If there is any difference, we can say that there is some difference, we might have done some mistake. So here the first advantage is that since we are entering both the aspects of a transaction, we can check the accuracy of accounting. Okay, we can check the accuracy of accounting. Second point, ascertainment of business results. Here, to calculate the business result, that means that performance of the business, we can calculate with the help of profit and loss account. For the profit and loss account, we need the expenses, then losses, incomes, gains. We can calculate the profit or loss of the business. Then the liabilities, then debtors, creditors, all the assets, all the other assets are available. From this we can calculate the financial position of the business. So we can ascertain the business results with this details, or with all the details of the expense, loss, income and gains. We can calculate the profit or loss of the business. From the information of liabilities, debtors, creditors, assets, from everything we can ascertain the financial position of the business on a particular date. Okay, that is second advantage. Third one, comparative study. Comparative study. We prepare the financial statements. With the help of all the details, we prepare financial statements, that is the final accounts. So this financial statements can be compared with the previous year's financial statements. Previous year's financial statements can be compared. For example, this year we have gained around 2,50,000 net profit. What is that with the last year? Last year it was only 2 lakh. The year before last year maybe 1,70,000. So we can conclude that we are in a improving stage, developing stage. Okay. or we can compare with other organizations accounts also. Other organizations books of accounts or the final accounts, financial statements can be compared. Then only if we compare, only we can take, we can plan for the future. If we are gaining, we are not able to gain as the other organizations gain, then we can find out the error, we can locate the error, and we can suggest for some steps to make some steps to improve our organization. So that is possible because of this double entry system. Then common acceptance. All these things we are studying already, isn't it? Ascertainment of business results, then comparative study, then common acceptance. This also, because we are keeping books of accounts under double entry system, those books are, all the records are accepted by financial institutions or banks, then government, and the other for the disputes, maybe the court of law, others, whoever comes, okay, maybe the creditors or the other people. So since we follow the double entry system, the accounts that that financial statements that we prepare are accepted by the other financial institutions, banks, government, and others also. Okay, because it is this one is prepared as per the systematic manner, and it's a systematic system, or we can say it is a scientific system. We follow the rules and regulations universally. The accounting standards are applied. That is called double entry system. Understand? So it is acceptable everywhere. Only 4 points are there. You learn them. Okay. Advantages of double entry system. Now the next heading we will learn what is transaction. Step by step we are going to learn. Okay. We know already what is a transaction. Transaction means that transfer of money. We do the transfer of money or money's worth. One activity I told you, isn't it? Or money's worth. Either we transfer money or money's worth. We can say goods, isn't it? Either cash we transfer or we are transferring that equivalent to money. Maybe the check, if we pay, that is not money, but we are giving one check that is equivalent to cash, or goods that can be valued in terms of money. So all these are the transaction. Understand? Here this transaction we can divide it into 3. First one, cash transaction. Cash transaction, credit transaction only we have studied till the last year, but in this new syllabus only they have given 3 transactions. Okay, cash transaction, bank transaction, and credit transaction. So first we will learn the cash transaction. Here in transaction means transfer of money or money's worth. That immediate transaction, that means the immediate payment or receipt. Okay, when cash is paid or received immediately. Cash is paid or received immediately. We can say that cash involvement is immediate. If we purchase purchase some asset or some goods we purchase. For example, if goods we purchase worth rupees 10,000. So here in this, it is called cash transaction. Here what we do, we get the goods, isn't it? Two things are involved, one goods, the other one cash. What we are receiving, so this transaction, two aspects are there. One is receiving aspect, one is giving aspect, isn't it? So this is debit aspect, this is credit aspect. Understood? So here cash is paid immediately and goods we are receiving. At the time of delivery of goods, that when cash is paid, that is called cash transaction. Understand? Then the bank transaction. Bank transaction. Here, in a transaction, when bank is involved, there cash is involved, cash transaction. In a transaction, when bank is involved, it is called bank transaction. Many examples we can say for this one. Okay. If we deposit money in the bank, okay, when we deposit cash into the bank, so what we do, we pay cash and the bank is receiving. Understand that? When you prepare the journal entry, I will explain. Okay, now what is bank transaction, you should understand under what circumstances this bank is related. Okay, when we deposit cash into the bank, it is called bank transaction. Then the opposite we can say, when we withdraw money from the bank. When we withdraw money from the bank, that is bank transaction. Okay, then some of the income will be received by the bank. Received by the bank on our standing instruction. We may instruct the bank to collect some of our income, maybe the that rent or dividend. Okay, example, rent, dividend, all these the bank will receive. We do not need to receive if we give some instruction to the bank. Okay, when we give some instruction to the bank will receive directly from the concerned person, that is income received by the bank. Here also bank is related, that is called bank transaction. Then opposite of this, if the any expenses are paid by the bank, expenses paid by the bank as per our standing instruction. Okay, any insurance premium, then in electricity charges, okay, any other expenses, if we have asked the bank to pay, that will be paid by the bank. Okay, that is bank transaction. Then we sometimes our customers will make the payment. Okay, customers make the payment in the bank, make payment through, nowadays everything with the debit card, credit card, isn't it, by using that one. So instead of paying, if we run a shop, what they do, that they will swipe the debit card or credit card directly, our bank account will that cash will go directly into our bank account, that is it. Okay, customers make payment through debit card, credit card, or net banking. Then many other things known as NEFT, National Electronic Fund Transfer. Then real-time gross settlement. Nowadays we have many facilities to transfer the money. That is National Electronic Fund Transfer. Then this RTGS. It's not, we do not use this one often. Okay. Big business concerns use this one. Here, customers make payment through debit card or credit card, net banking, NEFT or RTGS. Again, we make payment. We can make payment. Okay. The business make payment. The business makes payment through all these: debit card, credit card, okay, credit card, then all this, okay, net banking, then NEFT, RTGS. Okay, then if we make payment through check, the business, okay, business makes payment through check. That also bank is involved. Understand? There also bank is involved. Then sometime the customers may deposit in the cash deposit machine. Cash deposit, customers may deposit the money in the cash deposit machine. That is available in the some of the banks. Outside the bank, you can go and deposit the money in the same machine, like ATM machine it is. Okay, cash deposit machine. Only the account number is enough. On that account number, if we type, that details will be coming, and we need to keep the cash in the machine, that it will accept and it will be credited immediately. Okay, so for the business, any customers, if they pay the cash in the cash deposit machine, it is going to the bank, so that is also called a bank transaction. All these ways we can, that if any that bank is involved, so we can say it as a bank transaction. Understood? If we deposit cash into the bank, that is cash bank transaction. Then if we withdraw money from the bank, that is also bank transaction. Then income received by the bank, directly they are receiving from the tenant, okay, that rent, or from that from the company from where we have bought the shares, that will, the dividend will be collected by the bank. So that affects the bank account, our bank account. So that is called bank transaction. Any expenses paid by the bank will pay. Okay, that is bank transaction. Then sometimes customers make payment through the debit card, credit card. Here also the amount goes to the bank transaction. Then we make payment. That means the business unit make payment through debit card, all these systems. Okay. Then business make payment through check. That is also bank transaction. If our customers deposit money into the cash deposit machine, then that is also a bank transaction. Now we will learn the next third transaction, credit transaction. Credit transaction. Here that settlement is not made by cash. Okay, not cash, not through bank, but the settlement is done on a future date. Immediately, okay, not immediately, but they will do the payment. They will make the payment, but not immediately, but on a future date. Either cash or check or whatever, through any other way they will pay, but the settlement is not done immediately. Understood? That is called a credit transaction. Understand? When settlement is not made by cash or through bank immediately in a transaction, it is called credit transaction. But that the settlement will be on a future date, that will be specified. Okay, predetermined date will be there. For example, we are purchasing goods on credit. Okay, if we purchase goods, that goods we may purchase, but the payment will be made around after 1 month or after 2 months, even after 3 months. So that we can say credit transaction, but that payment must be made within a stipulated time period. Understood? All the three transactions, then the advantages of double entry system. Now we will go to the next heading, account. What is an account? We have learned each transaction has two aspects, isn't it? Two aspects we studied, isn't it? These two aspects are called two accounts. It affects two accounts. That aspects only called accounts. So each transaction has two aspects. Those two aspects are the two accounts. Now we can say, what is an account? An account is a basic unit. Basic unit of identification. In accounting. That means to identify a person, we have names, isn't it? Identifying a person, how we will identify a person? By calling out his name. In the same way, here it is the basic unit of identification in accounting. We are identifying. For example, if it is a cash transaction, we purchase. Example I will tell. Okay, when we purchase goods for cash for rupees 5,000. Here, what are the two aspects here? Here we purchase goods and we pay cash, isn't it? When we purchase goods, what is coming in? Goods. So here we cannot write the goods, but we say it as purchases, because goods, if we sell also, that it is related to goods only. So differentiate between the purchase and sale of goods. If we purchase something, we write purchases. If we sell the goods, we write as sales. Okay. So purchases one account, the other account is cash account. Understood? So these are the two accounts, two aspects. Here two aspects, one is purchases, the other one is cash. So it affects two aspects. These two are the two accounts. So we are identifying how much amount we have purchased, then how much cash we have received. We are identifying that goods, isn't it? Goods whether we have purchased or we have sold. So by seeing purchases, we can understand that we have bought goods for this amount. Okay, so we will write the amount also, 5,000. For credit also 5,000. You will learn it clearly. Okay, then we will write debtor, then to, that means credit, to cash. Debtor, creditor we will not write. Okay, no, he will write to. Debtor means debit, to means credit. That is the way of writing the journal entry, we are going to learn that one, okay, in the same chapter. But now to explain this word account, I have explained this example. Okay, for each transaction, this is the transaction. There are two aspects. One is purchases, another one cash. These two are the accounts. Okay, so it is a basic unit of identification in accounting. In other way also we can explain this account. For example, we used to say that in ordinary way also, ordinary usage we use this word, his account. We will close his account. What is that name? He is, that my account is closed in the bank, we will say, isn't it? What is that? What is entered in our account? All the things are summarized in our account. For example, whatever we have deposited, whatever we have withdrawn, then any bank charges, any bank interest, everything is informed, everything is given, all the information about a particular person or item. Okay, so that is also called account. So in this word we can learn like this. Account is the systematic presentation of all material information needed, all material information regarding a particular person, or item at one place, that is called account. So if we deposit money, they will enter in our account only. Then we withdraw money, they will enter in our account. And if there is any bank charges, they will debit our account. Any bank interest if we receive, they will credit our account. So all the information, all material information regarding a particular person or item at one place under one head. Under one head. That means our account name only, they will enter all the material information. Okay, that means systematically they will enter. That is another thing. Order, isn't it? If we deposit money today, it will be entered today. Then after 2 days, if we withdraw money, that day they will enter. Okay, then after around 1 year, they will calculate interest. So that interest also will be entered on each say 6 months interval period. Okay, everything will be grouped under one heading. That is also account, we can say. So if we open in business concern also, a business concern may have many creditors, many debtors. That means the credit customers, credit suppliers. So if they open a particular person's account, they can see if it is customer's account, on which date he has bought some goods from us. Okay, then how many, whether he has issued any check for us or he has paid any amount in cash. Okay, all these information will be recorded systematically under one head. Okay, under his account only we will enter. Then all the details, all information, how many, that quantity he has purchased, which date, how much quantity, how much is the price, everything will be entered under one account. That is also we can say an account. You might have understood, I think. Okay. Then we will learn the approaches. There are 2 approaches in accounting. Two approaches. One is accounting equation approach. Accounting equation approach. The other one is traditional approach. Okay. 2 that we will learn later. Traditional approach. Traditionally, okay, we are following that one. This new one maybe the accounting equation. So we will see what is accounting equation approach. We know there is one equation, isn't it? You know that equation. What is that equation? Assets is equal to liabilities plus capital. That is the equation. Okay. We are giving a relationship of assets. Relationship of assets with the liabilities to outsiders. These liabilities are to the outsiders and to owners. Okay, it's a relationship of assets. Relationship of assets with the liabilities to outsiders and with the liabilities to owners. That is called capital. Okay. So we can say asset is equal to liabilities plus capital. Here assets means we know, isn't it? All the assets that we have. Maybe the land, building, land, building, plant, machinery. Okay. Any asset if we purchase, that one is equal to the liabilities and capital. Liabilities, what is the meaning liabilities? The business owes to outsiders or the business owes to the owner. Here he is purchasing some asset, isn't it? So automatically it will reduce the asset. That is what we are going to learn next. Okay. Here each and every transaction has twofold effect that we have studied, isn't it? So it affects the equation. Either it should increase the asset and decrease another asset, or it should increase the asset and increase the capital. Okay, each one will be having one example also. Assets is equal to liabilities plus capital. Now, if the owner earns some revenue, that will increase the capital. Okay, revenue will increase the capital, and any expense and loss, it will reduce the capital. So we can derive this equation in this form. How? Assets is equal to liabilities plus capital. It will increase, revenue will increase the capital. So we can add the revenue and the expense and losses can be deducted. So again the accounting equation will be derived. Okay. The main accounting equation is assets is equal to liabilities plus capital. So when he receive any revenue, that sale increase, that will increase his capital, or he receive any income, that will increase his capital. And if he incur any loss, that instead of selling the goods for 50,000, he sells for 40,000, his capital will get automatically reduced. So the loss or expenses should be deducted. So the final equation is assets is equal to liabilities plus capital plus revenue minus expenses. So here how many accounts are coming up? Assets account, liabilities account, All these are the accounts. Understand? Capital account, revenue account, and expense account. Then now you should have one understanding. What is asset? There I have started to explain, isn't it? What are the assets? That means that any physical thing that is owned by a owner or by the business. Owned, any physical thing owned by the business. That is called an asset. We know the example, isn't it? Land, then buildings, plant, machinery. Plant means here the building of that means the where we keep the machinery and the working place, factory. We can say the building is called plant. Okay, plant, then machinery. Machinery, you know, all the machines. Understand that machinery. Then any office equipments, all these accounts, land account, building account, plant account, machinery account. All these are the assets for the business. Okay, if the business own anything, that is called asset. Then what is a liability? Liability. When the business owes to others, that is called liability. Okay, when the business owes something to others, or we can say the obligation of the business. Poruppu, understand? Obligation to others. That is a liability. Even the capital also can be said as a liability. Okay, that third heading we are going to learn, but the other liabilities we will see. What are the examples? Examples for the liabilities are creditors, we can say. When we purchase goods on credit, they are called creditors. We purchase goods from the suppliers. So our suppliers, if you do not pay immediately, they are called the creditors. So creditors. Then any bills payable. We need to pay. We have accepted that we will pay some of the bills that is issued by our creditors. That also our obligation. We need to pay this amount. What is mentioned in the bill. Okay, that bills payable, then creditors, then any loan account. When we borrow money from the bank, that is also an obligation for the business to pay back that loan amount. Understand? So all these are the liabilities. Then the next one is capital. You know capital. What is capital? The amount invested by the owner in order to run the business, start a business. Okay, investment. Investment by the owner is called capital. Here, the business owes. Business owes to the owner. Understand? Here, the business owes to the owner because it has to pay to the owner because the owner has invested a large amount in the business. Because of the business entity concept we learned, isn't it? The business is considered separate from the owner. The amount invested by the owner is an obligation for the business. It has to return it back to the owner. So that is a that is called capital. That is also a liability. Understand? What is revenue? Revenue account. Revenue accounts, that all income, we can say, all income and revenue, what we earn. Understand? Everything will come under revenue. For example, if we sell goods, or if we receive rent or commission or any dividend, all these are the income, that is called revenue. But if we sell goods, that also we receive some amount, isn't it? All these are called revenue. Then the next one, expense account. Expense, we know that expense are incurred, or any loss we suffer. They both are expense account. Understand? In order to earn some money, to run the business, we have to incur some expense, or we need to suffer some loss. These are called the expenses. For example, we pay salary for the staff, or we pay rent for the building, or some loss, bad debts. Somebody has not paid his debts, sundry debtors. All these are the expense account. Understand? So you have learned these 5 headings of accounts. These 5 headings you can learn, and it is one of the question answer also. Okay, 5 accounts under this accounting equation approach. You learn everything, and you have to mark the question answers. Understood? Already I told you. Then accounting equation also, the accounting equation approach given, and under that heading, the first paragraph you can mark. Then that capital plus liability is equal to assets, that line you can mark. I will show that one. Here, this accounting equation approach, this paragraph, then this equation, then again this line. Accounting equation is a mathematical expression, that also you can write. Then the last, this also you can mark. Okay, asset is equal to liabilities plus capital plus revenue minus expense. Okay, that means you can mark. You learn all these accounts: asset account, liability account, capital account, then expense account, revenue account, expense account. Okay, up to here you read and understand. We will try to do the problem tomorrow onwards. Okay students, thank you very much.